Hey everyone, just in pre-live as John, Andy, and I try a experiment. We're going to try and use. Whoops! Stop the echo. We're trying the what is it? The live redirect for YouTube, and just as a concept, seeing if we can string a couple of shows together to see if we could create a 365 live network of content to see. Um, so they're just stretching their show out a bit as they talk about Teams, what is it called? Screen annotations. Yep. You see like a, hang on, this way. Little cheat. I did copy a portion of the show to show it as an insert. Later on, maybe we can get a couple of subscriptions that we pull a live RTMP pull link through to that corner. So you'll see John's live show, and then as we switch over to this live, we'll be good. But we've got another 4 minutes, so I can just keep an eye on the chat. I'm not actually going to try and entertain you while I'm waiting. I'll just make sure that everything's good to go. So let me just jump on mute again, and we'll see you in a bit. Nice job, John. I've got to take myself off mute. That was really clever. Let me start that again. Look, thank you for joining me, and hopefully that live redirect has worked out. Hats off to Andy and John as they try this technology out for various things that arrive in Teams and all sorts. It's really a useful show and a useful thing to watch and catch up with later, because they like to push the envelope. They like to try things early and see what's working and what isn't working. And they're both very familiar with what our people need to hear. So apologies for the delay in the mute. I know, I'm on mute. Yeah. It's like I was sort of taking the whole spirit of using Microsoft Teams and transferring it with Andy and John, and just taking it into this Teams meeting just to be on mute. Fantastic. Hopefully the audio is coming through now. Feel free to just throw some thumbs up or something in the chat there to let me know. So it looks like live redirect has worked, I think. And look, today what I wanted to do was have a little chat with myself, because I don't have a host or a co-host, and okay, that's just a bad joke. What I'm going to be looking at today is self-chat, or chat with self in Microsoft Teams. And there's something else I wanted to take a look at, which has been with us for a little while, and that is a new version of Viva Insights and your personal insights, particularly the feature around focus time. This is a feature that I had used quite a bit, and then just sort of it became a little annoying, but they've fixed that, and I'm excited to show you what helps with that experience. Oh, right, great. Thank you, Pete, for confirming that redirect was awesome. I'm just experimenting here too with pushing my OBS stream into Restream, and I can see your chat, but I probably, let's see if I can. I was going to try and overlay the chat, but you'll see that in YouTube, and we'll figure all that sort of stuff out later. Today, yeah, let's get into it. But before I sort of start that, let's just sort of frame up what chat with self is, and think about Outlook and what we've had for some time. I think it was since we had Outlook Mobile come in that we're able to send an email to ourselves. That's what people have been doing for some time. But on Outlook Mobile, it was an upgrade, I think, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it brought this cute little thing in that said, when you're emailing to yourself, it said note to self. So it knew who was sending based on the mailbox that it had connected, and as the message came in, it said note to self. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. It's knowing that. And people do continue to do this. They like to email things to themselves as something of a reminder, and use the folders and various other features that we have now, like snooze, to re-deliver something back to yourself, flag things. It's just a quick and convenient way of being able to leave yourself some notes. And in the spirit of that, with Microsoft Teams, we have Chat with Self. Taking a look at that, this I'm using as a demo user. We've got Lee Gu. And importantly, at this point, this is a feature that is in public preview for Microsoft Teams. I have Lee. He is in that public preview program that's been switched on for him. And what do we see to start with? Well, if it has been turned on for you, then you're going to have a conversation with yourself pinned to the top. That will just appear. Lee, Gu, you. I didn't choose the surnames to rhyme with the you and Gu, but that's fine. I'll step back a bit. What would you see if you haven't got it, but you're hunting for it? Let me bring that up in. Yeah, this one will do. So this is me in my own tenant. Again, I'm in a public preview experience, and I am in a chat, and I would figure that maybe I'm just checking for this feature to see if it's available to me. Maybe I'll just try a chat with myself. So I'll start a new chat, and I'll hunt out my name. And that's me, the IT consultant, and various other flavors of other IDs that I've invited to my tenant to test things. But this top one is me, in my tenant. And so you would think that this is a way to start a chat with yourself. And when I click on that, it actually jumps to the last conversation that I have been a part of, group conversation, meeting in this case, where my name is mentioned. So it's behaving more like a search, which is kind of odd. But this means that I don't have the feature yet, because if I go back to new chat, my name's no longer there. Okay. So when the feature does arrive for you, it's not something that you'll have to start off and start a conversation with yourself. Microsoft kindly assumed that you're going to talk with yourself anyway. I don't know if I should do this sort of dangerously, because I did notice just before the show that this feature's kind of on again, off again. It's really strange. I had Lee set up in public preview, and we're testing this and getting it all set up for today's discussion. And when I came back in to set up for the show again this morning, the feature wasn't there, and I had to take him out of public preview and back in again to see the feature. So that was kind of interesting that that we saw that. So yeah, we've got Lee and the feature there. I'm going to bring over someone else, another demo. Did I get it going for this fella? Yes, I did. Here's Isaiah Langer. Okay, so we've got Isaiah in a similar position. The features arrived for him in public preview again. See the little P. Let's just make this a little bigger so we can see that. And what I want to try out here is, oh, okay, so you can unpin this conversation. That could be useful. I mean, if you're going to have a conversation with yourself and you want to use this for personal productivity, you probably want to pin it to the top so that it's easy for you to find, rather than using search and trying to find yourself to have a productive conversation with yourself at some point. A bit like the conversation I'm trying to have with myself now. Although you're all joining me, whether you're part of the live or part of the later on experience, live or later. But okay, so it looks like we can unpin and pin. What do we do here? Let's see if this works. Unpin, got it. Okay, no danger to that. Can I pin it again? Pin. And I could hide the conversation with myself. Let's do that. Maybe we can get it back. Maybe not. Let's try. This is what I would expect to be able to do. Isaiah, to start this off. Yes, okay. All right. So, danger and crisis averted, as some of my teammates will say. It's a quite a common phrase, so sort of spoken in jest. But the ability to be able to hide, unhide, pin, unpin, you can do that. So if this is not for you, I'm sure that Microsoft will come out with some PowerShell command to turn this off for admins that go, yeah, don't like this. No danger, right? No danger to having a conversation with yourself. But anyway, if you don't like this feature, then you can unpin it and you can hide it. Job done. If for some reason you might find it useful, you can search for your name and come back. So what have we got here in terms of hints, and what's this experience like as we're in there? I'm going to just go back to Lee. Nice to have options though, right? Lee's in a chat with himself, and if we were in a chat with, let's start a chat with Isaiah, we're going to have more options, just in comparison. Hi, Isaiah. More options than when we would have a chat with ourselves. Let's just compare the two. Back over here to Lee. I am Lee, so this is me, this is you. And look along the top. We have chat. We have 3 more tabs, files, organization, and activity. We'll look at those a bit later. But we don't have the ability to add a tab. So we can't add another app. Interesting. Whereas over here, when I have a conversation with Isaiah, I've got chat. I've got those 3 traditional tabs: files, organization, and activity. And I can add apps. Now, it makes sense to be able to add an app for collaboration with a colleague, someone that we're chatting with. And this is an option that we can have when we're within our own organization. I could pin a file to the tab. I could maybe websites, OneNote, etc. And then I can get into all these other third and first party apps that are available to be able to collaborate as well. Now, I can't do it in this environment, but one of the ones that I use frequently is Miro. I love to use Miro for a whiteboard and collect my thoughts and collaborate with people, and sometimes also do it one-on-one. So those are all options to me because I'm in a chat with someone else. However, in a chat with myself, I don't have those options. What do you think of that? Is that something that kind of works or doesn't work for you? Because if I compare the two, would I want that same experience? Well, I'll give you a hint here. This thing that we frequently call the Teams app bar is actually called the personal app bar within Microsoft documentation. Well, you'll see it, mentioned in a couple of ways, but that's one of the things that it is called and used for. So we don't need to have apps along the top within our personal chat because our apps are on the personal app bar wherever we're working within Teams. And you can see chat, Teams, etc. They're the usual defaults. But if I wanted to add tasks by planner, then I'll do that. Cool, I can see my personal tasks. So no need to have that tab added to my personal conversation or chat with self. We're going to add another one a bit later, which will be the Viva Insights. But there's a few other choices here that would be options for me to use. Maybe I can set up some forms and draft them. I might go through and put a window through to projects. But you're getting the picture that why would I limit myself to having the apps pinned along the top when I've got this full app bar that is fully functioning, does all that I need, and it is actually designed to be the personal app bar anyway. It just so happens that admins can pin apps there. So no need for that, but maybe this will change. Maybe we will see some way of bringing something else into a chat with self. Look, let's start chatting with self and look at the little hint there. It is, this is your space. This chat is just for you, with you. Use it for drafts, send files to yourself to get to know chat or get to know chat by using features a little better. So maybe this is also, as it suggests, a nice place to send people to try out chat as part of training if they haven't used Teams before. Usually you do this with a friendly person and you have a chat, and we're kind of used to using chat across other applications as well. So it's not really a scary experience where we have to practice using chat with ourselves before we go and chat with someone else. But I do like some of the other suggestions. Use it for drafts. Use it for sending files to yourself. Well, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that if I can remember. Let me just make a quick note about that. Sending files to self. Let's come back to that one. Okay, chat with self. So this is what I've seen so far. People will joke about it and then, oh look, I'm saying hello to myself. Good morning, fella. Have a great day. Right, very good. Send myself a GIF. Have a nice day. Now these are all like pretty typical things. Let's go with that one. Hope your day is awesome. Thank you very much. Don't mind if I do, Darrell, or Lee in this case. All good. I'm okay with that, but that that's the fun part of having a conversation with yourself. Notice the hint now disappears. You haven't got the guidance or inspiration to use chat for yourself. But let's think about how people have been using this for a long time as a way of reminding yourself to do something. They've sent themselves an email. So what would happen here if it was an email is you just type up an email and say, remember to send a report to Jono and do that by Friday. Now, sure, there are plenty of other ways to do this, to set yourself a task. And often what people will do when they try this within Outlook is they will send the message to themselves. It's almost like a voice note or a something. And then they'll use a follow-up flag to drop it into their actual list of tasks so they can keep all the tasks together, maybe schedule that task, set yourselves a reminder, all those sorts of things. So if we were to do that same sort of thing, which is get report done for Jono by Friday and send that to ourselves. Very good. Very nice. We've set ourselves a message to do that. And look, the flow of all of that conversation, maybe we're going to drop in a couple of other notes here, there, and everywhere. It might feel like this is a more natural way of quickly listing off our tasks by having a conversation with ourselves. But I want to try something else here too. One great thing you can do within Teams when you are leaving yourself a message, or when you have a message, whether it be from someone else or maybe in conversation with others, is that you can use other apps. And that's what I'm kind of looking for here. I think you know what I mean. Let me just go over here and show you within a conversation with Isaiah and myself. So Isaiah has, said something to me. Maybe he said, I'll just flick over and make this a bit more realistic. Isaiah's going to say, have you got that report done for Jono? It's due on Friday. All right. Oh, wait, that's to me. Isaiah's having a conversation with himself. Let me just drop that into the conversation with Lee. That's what I intended to do. Back and forth. So Isaiah's sending that. Lee sees that and thinks, oh, that's right, true. I forgot about that. Thanks for the reminder. And what he can do is use more actions and create a task. Very nice. So that's a conversation between Isaiah and I. I can create that as a task, which makes use of Planner and To Do. So it's dropping it into my tasks folder. It has taken the sentence that was typed. I can adjust that. I can change a few things here. Let's just say that it's due next Friday. And there's a link through to the conversation if you need to go back and see the context of what was being said. So let's save that. And I'm not taken away from my conversation or the context. I just get to see the content and continue. And I've set myself a task. Can I do that from a conversation with myself? No. I'm limited. It feels like there will be something there at some point, maybe, to be able to perform more actions. And I certainly think that having a conversation with yourself might be a way of doing that. But point is, if you need to set a task for yourself, maybe you just go over to the Tasks app. There it is. You won't have that nice link through to a conversation and maybe your stream of consciousness as you spoke out that particular task. But here's the task here from our conversation with Isaiah when he reminded me about that. So yeah, maybe as the intention is, why would you put that in a personal chat with yourself, self-chat? You wouldn't do that because you just go over to the Tasks app and do that. But I would say, and this is just me talking out loud. Of course I'm talking out loud. I'm talking with myself too, except you guys have all joined me too. Is this other thought, yeah, I know, Pete, it's a bit of a pity there that we don't have the more actions menu. Hopefully we'll see it. And look, while you're there, you also asked about whether we can mark things as read and unread. So yes, we can. We can save a message. We can pin it. What does it look like as unread? Which will never happen when you're actually having a conversation with yourself, because it will read it. But maybe you can mark the conversation thread as unread to remind yourself to do something. Yeah, back to that thought. What we're going. So tasks. We've created a task. We have more actions. Stream of consciousness. Right. So put this aside for a bit. We've been given our all sorts of different technologies that we can talk to. We can, say a certain magical word here, and this little speaker will start to answer me and maybe obey some of my commands and do some things for me and make a note or whatever. So I can talk to something with my voice, and it's a personal organizer. That we don't see what our conversations are with that particular device, but when we have a conversation with ourselves in something like Teams chat, we have that stream of consciousness. Could end up being a journal, could end up being, just listing off some tasks. And I frequently use the voice to text feature to be able to just list off something and pop it in there. And I can't really do that from this and try and demonstrate it to you, but by being able to do that, I can just list off certain things and send messages to myself. So going with that line of thinking, where a speaker can become something of a personal organizer, a personal assistant, a voice assistant, and I can list things off, and it'll put certain things within the different applications that I use to organize myself. Why not follow the same line of thinking with chat with self and be able to use that as a stream of consciousness? Rather than switching context out to different apps, I could just go through, list out a bunch of tasks, and then come back and add them to Planner and To Do directly from more actions. So anyway, I think you get my thinking, and we can move on from there. Look, I've held off long enough. You know me, you know how excited I am about Microsoft Loop and Loop components. I know it's early days, and it does feel like a fancy text editor with a few more capabilities, but let's just point this out. When we wanted to start a Microsoft Loop, we had to be in a conversation because it is triggered off from a Teams chat. And here I am with Isaiah. I can start that conversation, and then I can start a loop. So we could start a checklist, give this a name, let's say date for June 25th tasks, and then we'll send that. And so that saves as a file within my OneDrive. And if I click on over to Isaiah's view of that, then Isaiah's also going to see the same Microsoft Loop, and we can share that task list. We've got Jono's report. We've got the script for next video, and follow up thanks to client. All right, so list of things there. Back over to Lee. He sees the same content. It's all in sync. Okay, but point is, up until now, we've had to have a conversation going between at least one other person. Or what some have done, what have they done? They've got like a meeting, and then everyone has left the meeting, and then you're just the only one in the meeting, so you can go back to this conversation thread where you've got your loop and it is nicely pinned there. Well, what happens here when we have our chat with self? Certainly I've been talking about it before it has arrived, but now we can try it. The ability to start a loop with ourselves. And this is something that a lot of people are asked about for Microsoft Loop, because they want to try it, but they don't necessarily want to have a conversation with someone. Maybe like me, I can see the potential for starting a loop, drafting it up, and then being able to share it into the conversation once it's fully ready. So think about people who are organizing a meeting or organizing some collaborative experience, and they're pulling resources together and all sorts of things, that they can do that, get that draft done here in a conversation with yourself, and then share it with the appropriate group rather than having them sitting there waiting for stuff to appear and arrive. Now, I don't mind if I do that out loud and with people. I'm quite happy to do that, working out loud, but some of us like to have things prepared to a certain point before we share content. So let's just take a look at that scenario. We'll go into, let me full screen this. Cool. We'll go into, I like to sometimes start off with just a paragraph, and we'll say content planning for July. Right, so this is going to be a loop where I'm going to start preparing a collaborative experience, and I'll do it very quickly. I won't drop in all sorts of other kinds of loop content, but I can send that. Sending, the action of sending, actually saves the loop. So keep that in mind as you're working on a loop with a chat with self, that if you haven't sent it yet, it hasn't been saved to your OneDrive. It's not there to be able to then share it with others yet. We've got our content planning, we've got a intro paragraph, because you'll always want to put something there to help people out and understand. And here's where it might be good to / and put a task list. All right, so it's good to have tasks at the top, so that people, when they glance through a loop, then they can immediately see what are the actions and what are the things to do. Let's go down here a bit. Let's put in actually I'll use just a regular text meeting notes, and I'll highlight that and make it a heading 1 just so that it stands out nicely on the page. And then you might have seen this hint from me before in live streams and various discussions, is that if you're going to leave meeting notes or anything like that, that you can / and put date, and then just hit enter again because it's already got today selected. Today is the 25th of June for me, and there you go. It's relative today. This is what I've left in terms of notes. Let's say bullet, note 1, reminder 2, and idea 3. But you're getting the idea. I've created this loop. It's got an intro paragraph. It's got some tasks, some meeting notes, maybe one other thing that I put above that meeting notes is resources. And now that was a shortcut key. If you're familiar with shortcut keys across most Microsoft products, Alt, Control, and 1 will do heading 1, 2 will do a heading 2, 3 will do a heading 3. 2, 3. Excellent. Resources. So one of the things you might do is you might have read this, whatever that document's called, and then hyperlink that. Eventually we're going to see a document can be embedded here in a loop as a chiclet, and you'll be able to see that too. So those are a few things that I've done to prepare this loop for collaboration. I haven't shared it with anyone yet. It's in my OneDrive because I started it, and of course I started it because I'm the only one in the chat. And cool. What else can we do with this? Well, the next thing that makes sense, of course, is that we take that link when we're ready and share it with the person that we're collaborating with. So that could be Isaiah. Maybe with Isaiah. Okay, here's our previous loop we created earlier. Hey, Isaiah, can you contribute to this for the next meeting? Planning meeting. Oh, I should have made that a question, but anyway. Paste the link in. Ooh, all right. Now, I've taken the loop that I created with myself, copied the link. Cool. You're following me? I'm now over here in my conversation with Isaiah, and I'm going to ask him to contribute. Isaiah doesn't see that yet. Remember, a loop isn't shared until it's sent. So here I am as Lee tapping away there. He's sitting there watching the dots and going, I wonder what's going to happen. Should I switch back to finishing that other thing I was doing while Lee hurries up and sends his message? Can't stand watching the dots. Anyway, going back to Lee, our loop is not sent until we actually, or not shared until we send it. So that is sending on through. And now, there we go. So Isaiah can contribute now to that conversation, or rather to that loop, and can start listing some of those tasks. So that could be like draft teaching points for a new feature, and then maybe add. He's happy to take that there. Whoop, that has gone a bit funny. Is at mention. There we go. Assign it to himself. Give it a date. And we're done. All right. So let's just recap there. I was Lee, and in the chat with myself, I prepared some collaborative loop ahead of time, laid it all out, included resources, included a space for tasks, meeting notes, and I then took the link and took it over to the conversation with Isaiah. Or, if I've still got it on my clipboard, just paste it into here in the conversation. There we go. I can share that with the people in the meeting. And that's the beauty of it. I know there's going to be other things that will become possible as more things are possible within Loop, but can you see the potential here for using Chat with Self to prepare a loop and then draft a loop in one sense, and then take that over to the place that you want to people to contribute. Soon that's going to be an Outlook, but today it can be another conversation in Teams. I had something else that I was thinking about there. Loop, self-chat. We've got drafting things up. Oh, that's right. So outside of Chat with Self, this experience is going to be available, I believe, when the Loop desktop application is available. You'll be able to go there into a section and start loops as a draft, or maybe in a workspace. You don't need to have it shared with people, though in a workspace it will be, but you'll be able to start them on your own and then continue to collaborate. So that works out. What else? Well, I mean, you can send yourselves nice little gifts. Let's talk about that other thing where you share a file with yourself. I want to address that because it's an interesting thing. Again, like there are other apps that you can go directly to and share files with yourself or manage your files. But what if you wanted to upload something to a Chat with Self as a way of marking that as a task to come back to? Again, using this as a stream of consciousness. So Lee might say, here's that report you need to work on, and then attach a document. This is living dangerously. What can I find? Well, I wonder if it's on OneDrive, but yeah, the point here is that when it's a chat and it's a private chat, any files that you attach to the conversation will be uploaded to OneDrive anyway. So maybe you're just going to go straight to your OneDrive. But let's try the scenario where we're uploading a file to... Let's just find my demo documents here. I've got a folder here somewhere with them. Which OneDrive was it? My personal demo docs. There we go. Contoso engineering. choose something like frequently asked questions. Okay, so uploading that to my chat, all good. And it's shared with anyone. There's a link there that I can share it with anyone as it's my own. But that will then be saved into the Teams chat files in my OneDrive. It's one way of doing it. Like if you're working on something locally on your machine, which hopefully a lot of you have begun to see the wisdom and working on a document within your OneDrive and that it's synchronized there. But if you haven't and you just wanted to quickly add it to your stream of consciousness, your self-chat, then here it is, and we could open that in browser. And you actually see from the address as it's loading that it has been loaded into Lee's OneDrive. Let's see if we can just jump quickly to where that location of the file is. Don't have permission to rename it. Interesting. Interesting. So this is a file in my own OneDrive and I can't rename it from here. That's okay. We can just go about it the other way. OneDrive. Oh, well, there it is. It's in my recently used files. OneDrive. Teams chat files. Frequently asked questions. And look at that. Also the loops that I have created as part of this demo. But that's where a file will appear. That's where a file will appear if I upload it to my chat with myself. So if you're going to use a chat with self as a stream of consciousness, a way of working on things and setting yourself some tasks, drafting loops, all those sorts of things, then you can take advantage of that. I'm hoping to see the more actions menu come in so that we can do a few other things with it and maybe bring it into our tasks list and set a task for ourselves. But that's a cool way to do it. Now I want to switch to the other topic and just take you through this, address it quickly, but show you some of the things around focus time and what has changed in this space. And we're going to use Lee again as a way of doing this. We're going to use, and I haven't added this yet, but I'll add the Viva Insights app into my personal app bar. Let's do that. So Viva Insights, and we'll add the app to it. Before we click the add button, Viva Insights was, what was it, My Analytics before it was named Viva Insights and your personal insights. And we had, for a few years, a feature called Focus Time. And what you could do was you could set it so that you could join a focus plan, or you could add focus time bit by bit as you needed it. But the focus plan would reserve 2 hours, 2 hours of time on your schedule, and it would look for that time at the earliest convenience, and it would block that out. And the good thing about focus time is that it's your way of carving out some do not disturb me time to get some tasks done in between and around meetings if you can. If people respect it. If they see that focus time, some people just like book over the top of it. They don't even use the scheduling assistant. They don't see and look what you've actually got on. They just send a meeting through. Bad form, people. But focus time it hasn't always worked for me in the sense that I don't want to have it as the first 2 hours available in my day. I want to be able to shuffle that around. And we can drag things around in our calendar to make that focus time appear somewhere else. Focus time, when we go into that time, it'll set us to do not disturb, so that we're not going to receive any calls, we're not going to receive any messages unless someone's in our exclusions. I forget what the list is called, but the override list where you could put your boss in there or not. So let's have a look at it. What it has changed now. This is the good thing, right? Let's have a look at this new experience. We'll add Viva Insights. We're not going to look at all the other insights and all the other capabilities for insights. There's our tour of what's next, home. Um, Interesting. That bubble didn't continue to tell me what to do. Um, and I see a comment there from John. Yeah, said a lot of folks do book over the focus time. I've got some great tips, and I'll do a video on this as well about how to signal to people that I'm actually using my focus time, and this is what it's for. And I learned this trick from Laurie and Strand and sort of extended on that. I'm in the habit of showing the details within my meetings so that and people within my organization, at the very least, they can see what's in the subject line of my meeting. And so if they were to go into a scheduling assistant, they're not just going to see busy, they're going to see client name, colon, whatever I'm planning to do. And that could be a task or it could be a meeting. And so if they are using their scheduling assistant, then they can see what I've got planned to do. Now, when it comes to focus time, that is all blocked out, but I double book myself. What I do is I use focus time to block that time and manage my online status so that it shows as do not disturb. But beside that, I will use a scheduled task or scheduled appointment with myself to say how I'm going to use that time. And if people check, then they'll see, Darrell's working on that report for Jono. Yeah. So moving on from here, we've got our Viva Insights dashboard, our personal insights, and we're going to take a close look now at Protect Time and some new options. From here, you can just use this at a glance of, okay, I could just set myself some focus time and take those suggestions as a way of, let's just get through all this tour. Take some suggestions and just book that time. Here's some suggestions for Monday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. But I want to take a look at the focus plan. What has changed here is that I can vary the focus time from 1 to 4 hours. Awesome. I can choose something more or less than 2 hours. And the thing about focus time is it's about trying to keep you in the zone. When you've got into that flow and ideas are just, you've had very little interruption, if any, and things just, you get to the end of that time, you're like, wow, I got so much done. That's what focus time is about, trying to give you time to enter that state and be able to get stuff done without interruption. So let's plan ahead and do that. Let's get started. And this is the other new thing for focus time. Let's work our way through this wizard. We can choose 1, 2, or 4 hours a day. It'd be nice to have an option there to choose 3 hours. I don't know. Just if we're going to go with 1, 2, or 4, let's dial it up. 1 hour and 30 minutes. Anyway, 2 hours a day. It is recommended. To be honest, it might take me 15 minutes or so as I list out a bunch of things, as I look at that task that I've got to do. I bullet point some of the things as that I want to build something out, and then I start to get into the flow as I fill out the gaps for each of those bullet points. It's just a way of thinking for me. Sometimes I draw it, sometimes I write it. So we'll stick with 2 hours, but you could do 4 hours. Now that's a pretty awfully big gap that you're looking for. Daily, 4 hours focus time. Yeah, okay. But anyway, next. When do I want this focus time to appear? And this is crucial. What I used to have was it would grab my analytics and focus time would grab the first 2 hours of my day. And if I had not planned ahead to use that time, then it would drop 2 hours of time at the beginning of my day and throw me into do not disturb and say, here's your focus time. Now that's okay if you're working for yourself, that you don't need to connect with people in the morning, that you maybe aren't working with an international team. And this is for me personally. I've got people I work with in Chicago, in Europe as well. So what I need to do is take advantage of that overlap of time. You're not really seeing this hand here. Um, Take advantage of that overlap of time where Chicago, they're sort of partway through their day. And at this time of year in New Zealand, when I start my day, we've got maybe 2 or 3 hours overlapping. So the beginning of my day is critical for meeting with clients, meeting with team members, picking up from where they left off. And so I can't book focus time at the beginning of my day. That doesn't make sense. So what I do prefer to do is have that focus time in the afternoons. And so this is really good that I can use the morning to connect with team members, to do various things, to set myself some tasks, to even plan how I'm going to use my focus time at the end of my day or in the afternoon, and get all my meetings done in the morning, so that I can action that content in the afternoon. So we'll choose afternoon, and here's our next choice. Do you want to use Do Not Disturb or not? Now, you could just use focus time as a way to section out that chunk of time in your calendar to get work done, to signal to your team and to your people, don't book over this time. I'm planning to be productive in this portion of time. But I do like to use mute notifications. I do like to show the little word focusing when people see my status. It's recommended because it is a clear signal that I'm trying to get work done, and this is why you can't reach me right now. You might have to reach me another way. So I'll leave that, but there is the option there to just use it as a way of just blocking your calendar out, but not changing your status. So we will look, that looks good. So what is it doing now? What has it done now? I'll have a look at it. But it is looking ahead, I think it's about 2 weeks, and it will book out the focus time within my calendar. Let's just stay within Teams and see what it's done. Yep. Okay, well, it's not done anything for this week, of course, but let's just hunt ahead. Has it done anything yet in the afternoon? Not yet. Oh, okay. All right. This is going to be a bit confusing because I'm using Lee and he's my demo user, and I think he's in like another time zone. So the focus time appears to be 1 a.m. in the morning. It's actually the afternoon. Not great planning for your demo, Darrell. So this would actually be the afternoon, and it's usually around your 1 o'clock onwards, because focus time will also look into your calendar. It might see that you might have set yourself a lunch period or something like that, and it will understand that that's where I can book that time. I would try and change this, but I don't think it will actually take effect very quickly. Might be best to do this from Outlook. Let's just do it quickly and see if we can just correct that calendar. Nice to know. Go into here, view Outlook settings. Time zones. Oh, it might be Office 365 settings. Language and time. Time zone. We are not in Pacific time. We are way down here in Auckland, Wellington. Boom. So I don't, oh, hang on. So meeting hours, do you want to update time zone for meeting hours? Yes, we do. So I think this choice takes care of the meetings that we've just had scheduled for focus time. Let's have a look. We'll go in a calendar from here. Don't like that as a default view. Month, work week, and just hunt ahead for the following week. Add time zones. Oh, doesn't seem to have taken effect yet, but we'd expect to see the focus time block around about here from 1 o'clock onwards. And so that means that, and I think we'll just hunt ahead and just confirm. Okay, it is just 1 week of focus time ahead. Is it? Yep, that's cool. So back to Teams. Then we are able to make use of that time. I don't know if you know this, but also if you were in Outlook, whether it be on your desktop. Did I close it? No, I didn't. That's good. Go back to here. You can shift your focus time block around. So I can do this, and maybe like someone has asked, oh, look, I see that you're busy at 1 o'clock, but is it possible that we could meet then? And I say, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll just shuffle my focus time ahead in the day, and we'll get stuff done if that's clear. So that's quite a nice way of doing that. And it will do all the, changes and various things for your status as well. So yeah, focus time and Viva Insights. Back to Viva Insights. That's really the main thing I wanted to show you around the changes to focus time in Viva Insights. It was really funny. I was doing a show with Daniel. It was the 365 Message Center show. We were talking about focus time at the time, and how I was saying that it's just such a pain that I can't unenroll from the focus plan, because what I've just done here is I've enrolled in a plan, and I can't. It wasn't easy to change my details or unenroll, but now as another way of taking advantage of that, I can go into the details of my plan. So here's protect time, send reminders to clear conflicts. That's a nice thing. But focus time down here, 2 hours, afternoon. Do not schedule focus time earlier than 9 a.m. Yeah, well, definitely not. It's going to look at your office hours that you set up in Outlook as well. So if we were in here and we wanted to go into the hours calendar, there we go. Show your work week as these days, and that you start meeting hours. Interesting. They used to be called office hours, I think. But this, as it's transitioned to, when are you willing to take meetings? There we go. Save that. There was another feature coming. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I shouldn't even be talking about it. Yeah. Just something that's coming that'll allow you to carve out and signal to your team another thing that's important to have during your day, that you'll be able to put that into your meeting options. So with that set in there, then it's going to be taken into account down here. Do not schedule focus time earlier than the time that you're willing to take meetings. Nice. Just answering a couple of questions and just checking the chat. Yeah, so John agrees that 4 hours of focus time, you're dreaming, unless it's a purposeful initiative that your organization has said Friday mornings, like Fridays, no meeting days, and you can focus on stuff. You can do focus time. Pete would love to see an option to set a weekly focus target instead of looking at a daily value. Like, oh yeah, I see that. So a total of maybe you want to spend 6 or 8 hours of focus time a week, and that you could spread that in different places. Yeah, some way to label the thing as a no meeting days. Yeah, lots of different thoughts and options there. I think with that no meeting days one, which is sort of like focus time, it's giving you a bit more focus. Send reminders before each no meeting day. Right, so I haven't got that enabled because I think it was something that your manager has to suggest. You invite them to a no meeting day plan. Similarly, they can set up a focus plan or focus time plan as a manager, and you can subscribe to that. So your whole team are planning to have focus time at the same time, which is quite cool if you take that line of thinking. But look, I didn't think I would make an hour of time to do this, and I look, I'm in awe of how Andy and John also do the same. They can take a feature and thoroughly explore it for an hour or two, and get that stuff done, helping answer questions and things. Thanks for joining me on this, and thanks for trying this experiment out where Andy, John, and we using this live redirect. Tell us what you think if you've stuck around and watched some of this. I know that John and Pete have, so cheers for doing that. If I've become like your podcast in the background while you're doing other work on a Friday. But I'll try and organise the same thing again with John and Andy, to flow on and check something else out, much in the same way that they do. You know that my focus is user adoption and change management, so I'll look at features, but I'll also come up with some suggestions around how to increase the use of that feature, explaining why it's useful and how you might build that culture in. And so things like the focus plan, the shared focus plan, is a good way to bring that in, as a way of sharing that focus time and getting greater adoption, because as a team you're using that. Yeah, thanks, John. It was a fun way to end the week. I'll also figure out a few things here about how to bring chat on. John, Andy, and Daniel and I, we use Restream as our product for sending our streams out. And the thing about that was when we do that. Oh, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, we mostly use the studio capabilities. So that's when you can actually go just directly into a browser and mix up your scenes and do various things here. I tried something a little different, but it meant that I lost the ability to add the chat over the bottom. So I'll do that, make it a bit more interactive, and see if I can bring some other things in to make this fun too. But thanks for joining me on your Friday afternoon, your Saturday morning, perhaps if you're in New Zealand or Australia. And if you're catching this later on, I know it's not the usual highly produced jump cuts, zoom in, zoom out, get it all done in 4 minutes. But this live stream is a fun way to just explore something together in real time and to engage as we have a bit of a chat around that. So thanks again, and it reminds me, I still haven't come up with an outro screen like John's. I must do that. Let me just use the overlay and then run the show out from there. Again, thanks again. Bye for now.